Let's make some cake. How about a keto, what am I making? Stop it. Hey guys, welcome back to All Day I Dream About Food. It's been a long time since I've been able to shoot videos in this kitchen. We had some water damage to our house during the winter, and several months later, construction is just finally wrapping up. I'd say that calls for a celebration, don't you? Let's make some cake. Today we're going to make an oldie but a goodie. This is my keto Boston cream poke cake. This is a 3-part recipe that includes a cake, a pastry cream filling, and a delicious chocolate ganache topping. Let's get started on the cake. I have 2 1/4 cups almond flour, half a cup of granulated sweetener, and I'm using Swerve, 1/3 cup of whey protein powder. You can use whey or egg white protein powder, 2 teaspoons baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. 3 large eggs, half a cup of melted butter, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now at this point, your batter is going to be a little too thick, so you're going to want to add some liquid. So I have about 1/3 cup of water here, but I'm just going to add a little at a time until I get a nice, thick but scoopable batter. We'll add a little more, and that looks about right. You can see it's thick, but you can scoop it and spread it easily. You may need a little more liquid depending on your brand of almond flour and your protein powder and things like that. Now we can go ahead and spread our batter in the pan, and I have a greased 9x9 metal baking pan here. I recommend using metal if you can because it conducts heat more efficiently and your cake will bake through better. So we'll add our batter to the pan, and you want to make sure to spread it out as evenly as possible. And now our cake is ready for the oven, and it goes in at 325 for 15 to 20 minutes. You want to keep your eye on it and make sure it's not browning too quickly. Get it out when it's just firm to the touch in the center. Okay guys, the cake is out of the oven and it's cooling, so now it's time to get started on the pastry cream filling. If you've never made pastry cream before, it's essentially like vanilla pudding. So we're going to take a cream and milk mixture. I have half a cup of heavy cream here, and you can use almond milk, you can use whole milk. I put in half a cup of almond milk, and we're going to add some sweetener. I am using 1/3 cup of allulose just because it makes the filling, the pudding, less likely to recrystallize or get gritty. And we'll whisk them together, and then we need to bring them to a simmer. You may have heard me talk about tempering egg yolks before, and it's just a way of bringing them up to temperature so they don't curdle when you add them to the hot cream. It's good to add a touch of salt, just a pinch, whisk those in. Take about 1/3 cup of the cream and slowly add that in, a little at a time, to warm up the egg yolks gently. Now we're going to put our cream back over heat. It's a little bit loud, and we're going to take the tempered egg yolks and slowly drizzle those back into the cream and milk mixture, keeping our heat relatively low until it begins to thicken. This should take about 3 to 5 minutes. I like to run my whisk into the corners of the pan, sometimes into the edge, so that I'm getting anything that might be curdling on the sides. You really do want to watch it carefully because it will thicken up suddenly. You can see here that my whisk is moving through the mixture a little more slowly and leaving some tracks, and that's when you know it's beginning to thicken up. So we'll do it a little bit longer, get it a tiny bit thicker, and then we'll pull it from the heat. It's getting thick. I got it off the heat just in time. And now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and we can add it to our cake. Here comes the fun part. We get to poke a whole bunch of holes in it, and I recommend the end of a wooden spoon because it pokes nice big holes for your pastry cream to go down in. We'll just poke it all over because you want the pastry cream to soak down into every little piece of cake. Don't skip the corners. They're very important because they tend to be the driest, so the more you get the pastry cream down in there, the better this cake is going to be. Pokey, 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 pokey. I always start out in nice little lines and then I start doing it randomly. Oh well, patience is not my strong suit. Oop, I broke a little bit of cake. Now we want to take our beautiful vanilla pastry cream and pour it all over the cake, making sure to get some in every piece. So again, don't ignore those corners. Make sure you're getting some pastry cream in there. Now to make sure I'm covering the whole cake, I like to spread it over top, allowing it to sink into the holes. And then I like to shake the cake a little to work it down into the holes. So you want to make sure to leave your cake in the fridge for at least 2 hours to firm up. And once it has, you can start making the topping. So let's make some chocolate ganache. All good chocolate ganache starts with heavy cream. I have half a cup of heavy cream in here, and I'm going to bring it to a simmer. Once you've got a nice simmer going, you want to remove it from heat, and you're going to add 3 ounces, or basically about half a cup, of sugar-free chocolate chips. You're just gonna let them sit there for a little bit to let the heat of the pan and the cream melt the chocolate. After you've let it sit for about 5 minutes, the chocolate should be sufficiently melted that you can just whisk it in. Now I used Lily's chocolate chips for this recipe, but you can also use Choc Zero or any sugar-free dark chocolate that you like best. Oh, that looks gorgeous. Look at that. Perfect chocolate ganache. You can see I've taken the cake out of the fridge and that the pastry cream has sunk down nicely into the holes, and we're ready to top it with the chocolate ganache. We're just going to pour it right on top. Because the cake is cold, it's going to set quickly. So you're going to want to get this all on there nice and quickly and spread it over top. I like to use this little offset spatula to spread it to the edges, covering every little piece of cake. And then one thing I like to do to make sure it's completely even is just kind of shake the cake to get the topping nice and spread out. Now we just need to let our chocolate set. You can put it back in the fridge, but because the cake was nice and cold, it should probably set quickly on its own. You can just leave it out so it's a little gooier, or you can get it back in the fridge and let it come to room temperature before you serve. You could also serve it cold, but personally, I like it better room temperature. While you're waiting for that chocolate ganache to firm up, you can, get going on the lickums. Yummy. Our cake is done, our chocolate is set, and I cannot wait to dig into this thing. Let's give it a try. As always, I've cut some large pieces and some small pieces. I am really bad at cutting things evenly. That looks amazing. If you look closely, you can see that there's pastry cream down into these little holes all the way down to the bottom of the cake. Let's take a bite. Ooh, that chocolate ganache is perfect. Ooh, I can see the pastry cream in there. It's moist, it's tender, it's got vanilla and chocolate. That alone is cause for celebration. I don't have a good dance. Do I have a Boston cream pie dance? That's a really boring dance. This will make you want to go pack your car. Sorry, I'm gonna have another bite. It's just too good not to. For this delicious keto recipe and so many more, please check out alldayidreamaboutfood.com.